Hey guys, what's going on? It's David here from Scizorxphlosion. I'm joined here by Chris, by Julian, and by my daughter Leia. And today we're going to be profiling for you guys Salamence GX. We've been working on this deck for a while, and we did some playtests with it last night. Did a couple games, and got it as consistent as possible. And I think it's ready to profile now. This is going to be our our third Dragon Majesty deck, right?
And then the upcoming one.
What do we got? What did we do? I can't remember.
we haven't done Dragonite, have we?
We haven't done Dragonite. We did Altaria GX. That may have been the only Dragon Majesty deck we did. So this is our second Dragon Majesty deck. So we hope you guys really enjoy this. And I will tell you, there are some problems with this deck. And we'll express that as we get to the problems that there are. So without further ado, guys, we're going to get into the deck profile. Be sure and support us on Patreon, www.patreon.com/Scizorxphlosion, and like us on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Scizorxphlosion. Alright guys, first off, for Bagon, we're running the 70 HP Bagon, just a little bit bulkier. He has a better attack as well. Reckless Charge for Fire and Colorless can do 40 damage. Bagon does 10 damage to himself. Still takes him down to 60 HP, so it's not too bad. But it's got a 2 retreat cost, which is pretty not good for a basic Pokemon. But 70 HP is really good. Gives you a better guarantee of your opponent not knocking you out on the first turn. So there is 4 copies of Bagon. Whoops, they stuck together. Alright, let's get those right there. 2 copies of Shelgon. This is the one from Dragon Majesty, and I had a hard time picking which one to use. And I decided to use the Energy Guard Shelgon because it has this ability. It says if this Pokemon has any basic energies attached to it, it takes 20 less damage from attacks. So something like the OHKO Shrine decks that are going around that spread 20 damage to all your Pokemon. As long as this has a basic energy attached to it, it takes 20 less from attacks. So that spread damage isn't going to do anything to it. So that's pretty good. And I decided on that. It also has a smaller retreat cost. It's got 10 less HP, but honestly, it's more like it has 100 HP because of its ability. So there you go. 2 copies of Shelgon. And then we play 3 copies of Salamence GX. Salamence GX is a really interesting Pokemon. He hits really hard, but he is also one of the problems with this deck. And I will tell you why. First, let's explain the card. We got 250 HP, 2 retreat costs, which is awesome, a fairy weakness, like all dragons do. Then it's got this cool ability called Dragon Lift. Your Pokemon in play have no retreat cost except Pokemon GX and Pokemon EX. So basically you can Guzma, like if your Salamence is in the active, Guzma into one of your non-EX, non-GXs, then retreat right back into Salamence and attack with Bright Flame, which is the main attack here. Water, Fire, and double colorless energy. 200 damage. Discard 2 energy attached to this Pokemon. This is the problem. Salamence hits extremely hard. He hits for 200 damage. With a Choice Band, it's 230. You're knocking out nearly everything in the game. We don't play Choice Band in this deck. We play Devoured Field, so we can hit 210. So we can take out those things like Golisopod and Zoroark and stuff like that. But the problem is the discarding 2 energy. It seems like you're always trying to keep one Salamence charged up. And we did do some things to try to help mitigate that. And we'll get to that here in just a moment. But Bright Flame is powerful, does cost a lot. But yeah, that is one of the biggest problems with Salamence GX. I honestly think Dragonite's probably the better option if you're going for a Stage 2 Dragon at the moment. It doesn't have to discard, it has Buzzwole attack, but 40 damage more. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Salamence. We've also got Flame Jet GX, which is a pretty useful attack. Fire, double colorless. This attack does 120 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Don't apply weakness resistance to bench Pokemon. So Salamence is pretty cool. It hits really hard once you get charged up. And we do have ways to charge them up pretty quickly. In most of my testing games, I was able to charge them up by turn 3. So I got Salamence out there and got it hitting really hard on my opponent, but then you got to constantly keep that energy on him. You constantly have to attach a double colorless or find other ways to get energy on. So anyway, 3 copies of Salamence GX, and then we do play 1 copy of the non-GX Salamence here. And this Salamence is really cool. Alright, sorry about that, guys. I had to pause it for a second. We got the Dragon Wind ability, which is really cool. It's a gusting effect. If your opponent, or if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, and then once during your turn, you may switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active. So basically a Lysander in ability. And it's really cool whenever you can retreat into this and then use Dragon Wind, retreat back into Salamence, or use Switch, something like that. I don't play Switch in this deck anymore. That was one of the cards we had to cut. But it's a really cool gusting effect. Make it easier for your Salamence to take those knockouts when you really need to. And then you have Dragon Claw for Fire, Water, double colorless, just 100 damage. I wish it did a little bit more, at least 130. It'd be a little more useful if it did. But anyway, there is Baby Salamence. Now, to help with the energy that we have to discard and keep charged up on our Pokemon, we're playing a 2-2 line of Alolan Marowak. We have 2 of the Cubones, so this one has 70 HP, that's why we're playing this one. And then we also have 2 of the Limbo Alolan Marowak. Now, this is really cool because you can get energy from the deck and not have to commit any energy to this Pokemon. The Limbo attack, for no energy, you get to search your deck for 2 basic energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon any way you like. So basically, go search yourself for a Fire, Water, attach them to a Salamence, and then next turn attach double colorless energy, and it's ready to go. Alolan Club is not very useful in here. It does 20 damage times the amount of Pokemon that have Alola in the name that are on your side of the field. So at most you can do 40 damage. So it's really not useful, and this Marowak is really in here mainly for the Limbo attack. And I really like it in here. I didn't know if I was going to like it when I first put it in, and this was an idea that Mike had. So I said, well, what the heck? We should just try it out and see if it works, and it works. I mean, it gets your Salamances charged up and makes them a big threat to your opponent. So 2 copies of Alolan Marowak with the Limbo attack. Couple 1-ups, guys. We've got 1 copy of Latios Prism Star. Has the attack for double colorless energy, Dragon Fleet. Does 50 damage times the amount of your evolved dragon Pokemon in play. If you get a couple Salamances out, a couple or even just Shelgons out, you're going to be hitting for some massive damage with this thing for just double colorless energy. 3 evolved dragons is 150 damage. 4 is going to be 200. You can take some big one-shots with this non-GX Pokemon. So 1 copy of Latios Prism Star. And then we've got 1 copy of Oranguru with the Instructability. Keep our hand up. We do have a lot of ways to discard cards in this deck, and we want to keep our hand size as full as we can at all times. That way we have always have access to that Guzma, or always have access to that Cynthia, something like that. Psychic actually came in clutch in my last match. My buddy Mike and I tested this out against his Hoopa. It was a Hoopa and Baby Galissapod deck, which I'm going to profile for you guys here in just a little while. Psychic does 60 damage, plus 20 more for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. And if a Hoopa has 3 energies on it, this thing can come up and one-shot him, while Hoopa's coming up and having to 2-shot you. So yeah, it's a really good counter to those attacking Hoopa decks. So 1 copy of Oranguru. Then we've got 2 copies of Tapu Lele. Sorry they're in different sleeves. This is why we had to pause the video, because I forgot to put my Tapu Leles in here. But we just pulled these out of one of our other decks. So we got 2 copies of Tapu Lele for the Wonder Tag ability. And then the Energy Drive can be useful too, since you play double colorless energy in this deck. So 2 copies of Tapu Lele GX. Next, guys, we're on to the supporters. We've got 4 copies of Cynthia. Cynthia is your basic draw supporter for this format. Probably the best draw supporter in this format at the time. Shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 6 cards. Then we've got 3 copies of Guzma. Guzma is good for targeting down those Pokemon, especially with Salamence. You want to get those Pokemon out that you can take out in one shot. Probably something like Tapu Lele. Guzma up a Tapu Lele, one-shot it with Bright Flame. Take 2 prizes. Take easy 2 prizes. Hopefully you get a double colorless energy out those prizes, or you draw into 1. And go in with a Bright Flame again next turn. And just start hitting your opponent for massive amounts of damage. And that's what Salamence does. He comes up and destroys, and he wants to go fast. And it's kind of rough because it's a stage 2. That's kind of counterproductive to be fast and be a stage 2. But anyway, 3 copies of Guzma. Next up, we got 2 copies of Lily. This is probably one of your good first turn plays. Draw until you have 6 cards. If it's your first turn, draw until you have 8. Really good draw supporter. I'm really liking Lily this format. We played 2 copies of Tate and Liza. In here, switching is really good because you can switch out your Salamence GX into something that's a non-GX, then Guzma, bring back Salamence up, or you could even just switch into the baby Salamence and use its Dragon Wind ability without having to use a Guzma. And then retreat right back for free into your Salamence GX and destroy whatever you brought up. So, Tate and Liza says you can choose one, shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 5 cards, or switch your active Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon. 2 copies of that. And to end off supporters, guys, we got 1 copy of Judge, just for a little bit of disruption against our opponent. We don't want our opponent to get too far ahead and then start taking, at the most, they can probably 2-shot your Salamence unless they GX on it. So each player shuffles the hand into a deck and draws 4 cards. On to the items, guys. We do have a lot of items in here, I think. Pretty sure we do. We've got 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Your standard search for any Pokemon deck. Discard 2 cards from your hand. If you do, search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, and add it to your hand. Next up, 4 copies of Mysterious Treasure. Since this is a Dragon deck, and everything in here, with the exception of the Marowak line and the Oranguru, is searchable by Mysterious Treasure. So, discard a card from your hand. If you do, search your deck for a Psychic or Dragon Pokemon and put it into your hand. 4 copies of Rare Candy. This is a Stage 2 deck, so we need those rare candies to skip our Shelgon stage and go straight to Salamence. And one thing I will say about this deck is it's very consistent. You can get Salamence consistently turn 2 a lot, just because of the nature of Dragon decks. Since you have Mysterious Treasure, you have Ultra Ball, you do have your Orangurus to help you draw cards, your Lilies. Most of the time, you're going to get that first turn Lily just because you have so many searchers for Tapu Lele. And most of the time, you can get a Rare Candy or maybe another Ultra Ball into your hand as well. Next turn, get you out of Salamence. So there you go. 4 copies of Rare Candy. We got 1 copy of Rescue Stretcher in here to get back those Pokemon we discard. Put 1 Pokemon from your discard pile into your hand, or shuffle 3 Pokemon from your discard pile into your deck. And the last item, guys, I guess we don't play that many. We play 1 copy of Nest Ball. I have the extra room, and I really feel I wanted to play more Nest Balls, but really at the time I could only squeeze 1 in there at the time. Nest Ball's mainly there for the Cubones. You can even go for your Bagons or your Oranguru with that. I wouldn't go for Latios with this. I'd use those on Mysterious Treasure, but whatever you need to get out, Nest Ball's there to help you. And then, guys, for the Stadium, we play 2 copies of Devoured Field, just so our Salamence can hit 210 damage. I was originally playing Choice Band in here, but I mean, Devoured Field's probably just better with all the stadiums going around. You want to get your opponent's stadium out of play. Plus, you'll hit 210, which is perfect numbers. You'll be able to one-shot things like Zoroark, Golisopod, drawing a blank here.
Zoroark, Golisopod.
Those are probably the big 2.
And anything
210.
below that,
Yeah,
like Glaceon and stuff.
You can also one-shot, well, I guess you don't need that to one-shot Lycanroc, huh? Lycanroc has 200 HP. But anyway, it can help you hit those Zoroarks for one-shot, unless they're playing bodybuilding dumbbells, which I see a lot of Zoroarks doing at the moment. And that's it for the Stadiums, guys. To finish off the deck, we've got 5 copies of Basic Fire Energy. We've got 5 copies of Basic Water Energy. And 4 copies of Double Colorless Energy. So that's it, guys. Salamence GX. I really like Salamence as a Pokemon because he's Salamence and he's awesome. But they didn't make him as good as he should have been, I think. They made Dragonite better because he doesn't have to discard any energy. He just has to retreat and then get back into the active. But just like Buzzwole would have to. But Salamence, the biggest problem with him is you have to discard energy for his attack. And it hurts. 2 energies is a lot of energies. And it's going to take you either 2 turns to recharge that, or you're going to have to retreat into a little Marowak and Limbo again, or just hope you have a DCE in your hand in order to attach an attack with Bright Flame again. But Salamence is cool. It's a cool deck. It's a fun deck. I really like playing it. I don't think it's competitive. I think it could hang with some competitive decks for a little bit, but just because it hits so high numbers. But yeah, that's Salamence GX, guys. We're going to be coming at you soon with a Reshiram Ho-Oh deck. We're going to be profiling Chris's Zoroark Altaria deck, which is a pretty cool idea he had, and it works really well. So we'll be getting that up here soon as well. We also got some Glaceon stuff coming y'all's way. Kingdra GX as well, and that should finish off the Dragon Majesty decks. But then pretty soon we'll be moving into Lost Thunder, and we're all pretty excited for Lost Thunder. It is going to be an amazing set, a huge set, the most biggest set we've had ever in the history of Pokemon TCG.
It's going to be my birthday set, so I'm going to be buying a lot of boxes for y'all to watch.
Watch us open.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to get like 2 or 3 when it comes out.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing set. So many good decks are coming out of that set. And it's basically our ground line for this new rotation. So anyway, y'all be sure and like and comment down below. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel. We do giveaways often. Our next giveaway is going to be at 200 subscribers. We haven't quite decided on what we're going to do for that giveaway. but we're talking about some big things, so y'all be excited for that. This is David, Julian, Chris, and Leia from Scizorxphlosion, and we will see you guys all next time.